What's happening, ladies and gents? It's your old chuckle buddy. Yes, who? Johnathan James Ramcharan, reporting live for duty on this magnificent October 29th in the year of our Lord, 2024. Welcome and bienvenue to Johnathan Ramcharan, the podcast. Oh, hey, folks. How you doing? Yeah. Trump. JRE, Joe Rogan Experience. Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night. Breaking the internet. Wow. You know, having watched Joe Rogan for many years, great work, great comedian, great content, podcaster. And seeing Trump long form. I mean, he is a little long formed at all those MAGA rallies. MAGA rallies, Make America Great Again. MAGA. He's long form there. Okay, isn't it refreshing to see a president who can go off teleprompter? I don't even like him. Who needs a teleprompter? Okay. But it was nice to see the Trumpster go long form on Joe Rogan Experience. So, one thing I gleamed, which was clear more than ever, one of the basic problems that Trump has always faced is that people are jealous of him. They're just straight up jealous of his station. They think, poor little rich boy. They're envious of the fact that he came from a well-to-do family. He had a father that was exceptional in business, who taught him, trained him, and helped finance him when he began in the game. What a weird criticism. Isn't that what everybody wants for their family? You have a son, you have a daughter, you have a brother, sister, mother, father. Whatever you have in this world, would you not want to use that to help them? So that's like the main criticism of Trump. He's arrogant. His father gave him money when he started in business. Well, it's like, isn't that exactly what you would want to do? Help out your family? And do unto others as you'll have done on to yourself. The media from day one, dating back to the 70s when he was, doing his construction, real estate come up in New York City. People were envious and jealous of his station. Oh, Trump, he's just some shiesty slumlord, this, that, and the other, jealous. So anyways, Joe Rogan, in classic Joe Rogan style, very smart, poignant, to the point, he brings it up. He's like, wow, Trump, wow, prior to your presidential run, the media loved you. Everybody loved you. The ladies on The View loved you. And Joe was going to show a clip of some of the ladies on The View cackling and gobbing and gabbing and gushing over Trump. He's like, you're right, Joe, you're right, Prior to that, I even helped Whoopi Goldberg. I hired her. She was nasty. She had a nasty, foul mouth. I hired Whoopi, okay? I hired Whoopi to do a comedy show, okay? At Trump Plaza. She was nasty, She was filthy. People got up and left, all right? She was nasty, but she loved me. Oh, they loved me. They loved Trump. And then somewhere in the mix, was it jealousy? Was it the fact that he pointed out basic truths of the American society? Like, at some point they turned on him. So Joe Rogan was very insightful in pointing out that fact. Public record of fact. Go look back at the tapes. The Apprentice, mega successful. Everybody loved that show, top ratings. They were kissing his ass. They wanted him back for multiple seasons, sign multiple contracts. Media loved him. Rappers were rapping about him. The ladies on The View were gushing, gabbing, and gobbing and, swabbing all over him. We love Trump. Right? Then he reaches that height of president. They hate him. Because, he's throwing a monkey wrench in the gears of power, so to speak. And, Joe again, with some great questions, he asks Trump, like, what was it like becoming president? What was the whole induction like? And that was very insightful as well, because then it again shed some light on the whole presidential position. Trump, so no one shows you how to become president. I get into office, I won, I'm walking into that big, beautiful White House, and I'm telling you, coming from the construction game, beautiful. 26-foot wide hallways, beautiful, and, some of the people there, they loved me. Not all of them, but they loved me. And some, not so much. So I had to pick people that I didn't quite trust, okay? I had to pick people that I didn't quite trust, okay? So, Trump had to, rely on people in Washington. They even pointed out, Trump had never stayed over in Washington, never hung out in Washington. He'd been there, a grand total of, 17 times in his life as a businessman, as a, presidential hopeful, up until his induction as president. He'd never really been in Washington. So now he's in this position where he has to work with all these pundits and lifelong politicians and, real wet blankets. He has to go in there and get in the mix. It was a learning curve. He learned a lot. Very insightful question by Joe. You know what I mean? What was it like to get in there? And it sheds a light on the presidential position. It's you think that, oh, I'm president, now I'm just going to run the country. It's you have to deal with all these people. Secretary of State. What I could be wrong on this, but what I'm under the impression of is that they set up all the appointments, all the, the secretary sets up all the appointments, hundreds of appointments, the timetable of the president just, going around talking to these people, talking to that people, appointing this person, appointing that person, putting out this fire, putting out that fire, And when you're dealing with the swamp, the fucking machine of government, could be very daunting. So excellent question by Joe. What was it like to become president? What was that whole induction like? Then, of course, Joe, he has to give Trump his comedic due. He's cracking up. He's talking to Trump, you're very funny. He's telling Trump, you're very funny. You got a lot of comedic timing. And, some of those things that he said, when Hillary says, thank God people like him aren't in charge of the Department of Justice. And then Trump goes, because you'd be in jail. Joe brought that up. Trump's little dig at Hillary Clinton, because you'd be in jail. And Trump's general je ne sais quoi on stage. Very funny, very entertaining, a man of the people, a man who can walk with kings and queens and hang out at a McDonald's drive-thru with the common folk, that's Trump. Very funny, very entertaining. And, from my opinion, as a comedian myself, something about humor that maybe people don't often think about is what it says about a person who values humor. I don't want to sit here and, long stroke the game of comedy. It sounds fucking great. But like a person who makes it a point of interest and value to be humorous, to have levity, to be a bit of a jokester and a wit. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very endearing, calming, humble. Well, maybe humble is not the best word for a comedian, but a very definitely a down to earth quality. It and as Trump mentioned, you need to have humor in a job like this. I'm telling you, Joe, you need to have humor. He told Joe something along those lines. It's very important to have a sense of humor. And that transcends the presidency, and that speaks to life in general. The necessity of levity and a light heart. And, a sense of humor. Let the good times roll. Couple jokes, let it roll off your back, no sweat. So it was very, enjoyable to see Rogan and Trump have that conversation. And they spoke on the dangers of the presidency. And that's what Trump was saying, it's very important to have a sense of humor like this because it's a nasty one out there. And, it's a dangerous game being president of the United States. And wow, have we ever seen it? 2 failed assassination attempts, thank God, on Donald Trump. Just the awareness and the alertness that he must have in dealing with America's enemies, Iran, potential enemies like, I guess Cold War sort of undercurrent enemies, potential threats such as Russia, China, and working together with people, North Korea, like just the dangers of being president and the totality of that total call to detail. See, I'm trying to sound smart. I don't know why, as if I give a fuck about sounding smart, but it's that total recall on wokeness. You can't be some woke Sanka shit, crying and whining and belly aching over every little damn thing. You know what I mean? You have to have a total recall against wokeness. You got to stand up and be strong and firm and alert as president. It's a tough game. I mean, you heard Donald Trump. He said it a million times. Kim Jong-un, Vladimir Putin, President Xi of China. These are tough cookies. Tough fortune cookie. Tough cookies, President Xi of China. These wars would never have happened on my watch. I told Ukraine was the apple of his eye. It was the apple of his eye. I said, Vladimir, don't do it. Don't do it, Vladimir. He would not have gone in if I was there, I tell you. I told that Jamal, or leader of Taliban, Abdul, I said, Abdul, don't do it. I said, Abdul, don't go in. These are tough cookies. And, Trump and Joe Rogan had that conversation. And, it was just nice to hear it long form, flushed out, without all the interruptions of the fake news and all the mumbo jumbo, fake news. Oh yeah, and the crooked press. Give me a break. They talked about the crooked press. Joe brought it up. Trump was talking about it. Like that Kamala. Okay, wait. Kamala, right? I believe that's how you pronounce it. Kamala. That crooked Kamala CBS interview. Give me a break. It was like something out of 1984, the Ministry of Truth. Some dummy sitting there with a fucking, with scissors and fucking an editing. They're sitting there at their editing desk and they're cutting out clips of Kamala's fucking speech and answer on CBS interview. All her little phony games that she's been playing with the fake news. Something out of 1984. Some Orwellian hellhole, going on. Make you sick to your stomach. If you're a person with just like basic common sense, we need democracy and we need freedom of speech, freedom of press. You got to be able to trust the press that they're not going to be playing this 1984 fucking spy game, cut and paste, stitching together the narrative of the news. Fake news. Oh yeah, and then we're speaking about energy. Joe and Trump, Joe brought up some questions about, energy. Not exactly clear to me, to be honest. I mean, they spoke about it. I don't really know, man. Because, for example, a lot of people talk about coal. I even remember Trump talking about how we should go coal. Coal should be promoted. If memory serves me well, I remember him talking about coal in his first term. But everybody knows that's a dirty energy. I don't think it's a great energy. But I guess China was making a lot of coal plants. So maybe it was just about keeping pace with China. So Trump was like, we should switch over to coal. But since then, things have changed. They started speaking about windmills. Trump was making some good points. If you want to see a bird graveyard, go take a look. Take a good look under a windmill next chance you get if you want to see a bird cemetery. Okay? It's like a bird graveyard down there. These nasty, ugly windmills killing the birds. Then they were speaking about nuclear power. How that might be an option, because everyone thinks about nuclear power as Chernobyl and all these horrendous nuclear plant leaks that have happened in the past. I don't really know so much about nuclear, but people are talking about how it is cleaner and safer than what readily comes to mind. I would have to look more into it. But some things that they did speak about were just common sense things, like how windmills are an inefficient, unsightly form of energy. It's like windmills, they don't really produce that much. They're ugly to look at, these big, stupid windmills, looks like a bird graveyard, all these dead birds under there. And they're driving the whales crazy. I'm telling you, Joe, something about windmills. They're driving the whales crazy. They're just getting driven crazy, these whales. I want to be a whale psychiatrist. Trump was talking about becoming a whale psychiatrist. It's a pretty funny thing to say, it's a very funny premise, to be speaking about windmills and, these windmills are out of control. I'm telling you, I'm going to have to become a whale psychiatrist. I'm telling you, these whales need psychiatry. That's another thing the fake news are probably going to talk about, Trump talking to the whales. He's gone mad. He wants to be a whale psychiatrist. The whale whisperer. But anyways, that's kind of my takeaway. It's like the common sense thing that, windmills are just like an ugly, kind of unsightly, inefficient form of energy. Makes sense. The parts are so massive. What do you do when they need to be repaired? What do you do when they need to be thrown out? Like these gigantic windmills. So, we're going to drill, baby drill, frack. I mean, I guess that's more about oil, but But just all forms of energy, I mean, the takeaway that I'm getting from that discussion on energy on a global sense, people are lifted out of poverty and are able to function and compete and thrive and live with affordable energy. So as much as you want to hate on energy, energy is needed in the modern world. And we have a duty to suss out and go after energy in the most environmentally friendly and efficient way possible. But we can't neglect the obvious. You can't throw Band-Aid stamps, windmills, solar. I mean, these things are good, but if there are better alternatives that are safe for the environment, they need to be explored. I mean, energy is something, it's almost like I don't want to get too steep here, but hell, I'm going to say it. It's like a human right. I mean, people talk about what is the major thing that can bring people out of poverty in a global sense. It's energy. Communities that need energy, internet. People, this is a major issue around the world. And definitely even in the modern world, with all our little creature comforts here in the Western world, people are still clamoring for energy, efficient, affordable energy. So much to be discussed there, but Trump and Rogan touched on it. It was very interesting. And the sham polls. A lot of sham polling. They touched on something that I've been thinking about. Ever since I was a little kid. I mean, how it first stuck in my mind was, I remember when I was a little kid, I read an advertisement. It was something by Coke or Pepsi. It was like a Coke or Pepsi ad. It was in a newspaper. And it said, Pepsi, the number one soft drink in Canada. Something like that. Pepsi, the number one soft drink in Canada. Voted number one soft drink in Canada. And I remember reading that and I'm like, I didn't vote for Pepsi. They're claiming that it's the number one soft drink in Canada, but I never voted for Pepsi. I remember reading that as a kid in a newspaper. And, throughout your lifetime, you see all these things. Voted number one. The polls say, according to statistics, you see all these data profilings in the world, and you're like, where the hell did they even get this information? So Joe and Trump were talking about that. And Trump's like, the polls are so stupid. You can't trust the polls. I mean, I like the polls today. Never mind. I don't want to get in trouble. I like the polls today because it says that I'm leading. I'm winning in the polls. But polls are, you can't trust a poll. You can't trust, you can't trust, not a Polak, a poll. You can't trust a poll. Like not them fucking accordion playing, Wiener Schnitzel eating Polacks. I'm talking about a poll. You can't trust a poll. Like data profiling. He was talking about that, like how you can't trust these sham polls because it goes to common sense reasoning. Like, they just make it up. And he was given some inside track game on that. And this is a man who's been a businessman. He's been a media star. He's been a successful politician, the president of the United States. He's got inside track. And I don't believe Trump would just lie about something like that. And it stands to common sense reasoning. When I look with my own eye and I look out into the world and I see polls and stats and data, it's a sham. It's a sham industry. I mean, yeah, some people probably do conduct good polling. But I mean, for the most part, it's a sham. So Joe and Rogan were speaking on that. That was very interesting. And the 2020 election, they got into it a little bit. Joe and Trump speaking about the 2020 election and what Trump's thoughts on the whole situation was. First of all, yes, there was a case for voter interference. And it's pretty clear. I mean, like, the whole Hunter Biden laptop from hell scandal. Yeah. Hunter Biden getting all this money from various countries, or else he's going to call the big guy. It came out that, yeah, it was true. He was involved in these certain activities. And I'm not exactly up to date on the whole process, but it's come out that it's basically true. And whatever those ramifications mean in terms of Joe Biden, like his culpability, his level of involvement. But yeah, all these questions. It's like, why is Hunter Biden getting paid $3 million from, what was it, the mayor's wife of Moscow, I believe? Anyways, he's getting paid money from foreign leaders' mothers, or foreign leaders' wives. He's getting money from foreign leaders. He's on these energy commission boards in Ukraine, all these nefarious dealings. And it's like, well, what's on your resume, bro? Like, what's in your storefront? Like, what do you do that you're getting paid this money? What service are you offering? What product are you selling? Or are you just going to call the big guy if payment is past due? So, like, that definitely added to voter interference, because, you got this sham situation going on and people are saying, oh, no, Trump's lying. The media's trying to spin it like Trump's lying and bringing up all this dirt on Hunter Biden when it turns out it was true. All the fake, phony impeachments, all the, Russian collusion, all that crap, the Mueller report, all that crap led to voter interference in the 2020 election. And then all the ballot stuffing, all the phony mail-in votes, all the phony mail-in votes and all the phony ballot stuffing, and, the reports of dead people voting and all these crazy voting concoctions, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, I guess it hasn't been 100% debunked, but Trump made some good points. There was definitely voter interference with the Hunter Biden situation, all the Russian collusion BS, the Mueller report, all that crap, all the phony impeachments, all that crap definitely led to voter interference in the 2020 election, notwithstanding or whatever. Also, the ballot stuffing, the mail-in votes, the voter fraud, the illegal immigration, all these gotaways coming in and fucking voting and all this crap. So there was a lot of stuff going on, and it hasn't been debunked yet. So, hey, moving forward, Trump 2024, that's what, like Viktor Orban said, the leader of Hungary, very strong man, he said, how do we get the world back in order? Put Trump back in office. And as a Canadian myself, I see the value of Donald Trump. The world looks to America. Monkey see, monkey do. They're a world leader. And they're a world power. So when America falls back in line, out of the clutches of this, I don't even know what you want to call it, the phony deep state, the phony swamp, the phonies. Once America is rescued from the grip of the phonies, then the world will come back in order. People will follow suit. Monkey see, monkey do. Trump, Madison Square Garden. Trump rocked Madison Square Garden this past Sunday night. Plenty of amazing speakers. just wow, an event. Here we have Trump returning to his hometown, Madison Square Garden, premier venue in America. When you think of venues in America, Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean? He's there, he's rocking it, all these amazing speakers. And, you know, he was received like a rock star. I watched it. The energy was palpable. That's the type of thing people like to hear. The energy was palpable. It was palpable, all right. I was watching it and I was like, wow. Spirits were high. The idea of doing the right thing was high. God, family, country. How do you argue that? God, family, country. That's what these people are about. That's what these people are standing up for. God, family, country. How do you argue that? And, you know, I'm in support of Trump, and I'm not into this woke stuff. And I don't hate these people. I understand that they have their lives and they have their way of being. But I wish they would come back to an awareness level where it's like, look, you people are living what is widely considered an alternative lifestyle for the most part. LGBTQ plus people, very ideological people like feminists, racial groups, religious fanatics, like people who are highly indoctrinated into a belief system. It's like, okay, cool, you have your beliefs, but can't you take a step back, or please take a step back and see that that is your alternative bubble. That's your alternative space. The common sense thing, the right versus wrong, the right, the wrong, doing the right thing or doing the wrong thing. Basic common sense. Common sense comes down to God, family, country. Now, whatever your belief of God is, I'm a Christian, but whatever your belief, if you believe in God, if you're an atheist, whatever your belief, you believe what you want to believe, I believe what I want to believe. I'm a Christian. But it comes down to God, family, obviously your family, your friends, your community, and country, a strong country where borders are enforced and there's a strong economy and there's peace promoted throughout the world. That's common sense stuff. God, family, country. Whatever you believe in with God, your family, your community, and country, your stability, how you live your daily life. Those are common sense things. And a lot of these ideologues, a lot of these groups, feminists, radicalized racial groups, LGBTQ plus, radicalized religions, you know, all these people, they're out there speaking their truth, which is their truth, though it is such an alternative lifestyle. Like, I'm a Christian. I'm not going to go out there and breathe it down people's neck. If they want to believe, they can believe. If they want to view my life and be like, hey, how'd you become how you became? Why are you the way you are? Oh, I'm a Christian. I believe in certain things. This is how I live my life. You're free to live how you want to. If you want to talk about it, we could talk about it. But, you know, I'm about God, family, country, whatever your belief system is, family and country. And those are basic common sense things if you want to do right versus wrong. If you want to live a normal, productive life, you should focus on God, family, country. You should focus on some sense of morality, family, country. Those are the things you should focus on in life, not LGBTQ plus weirdo stuff. Being a radicalized religious fanatic, being a feminist, being a racial militant. I'm a black racial militant, or whatever the hell it is. Just like chill out, focus on your morality, your God, family, and country. So, you know, that's what I was seeing in the faces of all those people in Madison Square Garden. All the black, white, Asian, Indian people that went to Madison Square Garden to rock it out with Trump. Really groovy, man. Far out. Some rock star stuff, man. Oh, yeah, and the McDonald's. I mean, Trump mentioned that, when he's on stage at Madison Square Garden, I get a phone call from Google the other day. They're telling me what I did with McDonald's was the biggest thing they ever seen. In their words, something like that. The biggest thing they've ever seen. Yeah. He was talking about his McDonald's appearance. How great was that? How great and funny and gregarious and all that stuff, Legs falling asleep here, folks, sorry. But, yeah, it was just so cool to see Trump on stage talking about McDonald's, laughing it up, rocking out at Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean? The crowd loving it. And he mentioned a few other things, too. Aside from McDonald's, he talked about missing children. Okay, at the border, these illegals are pouring in by the droves. You know what I mean? We call them gotaways. They get into the country, who knows what happens to them. Gotaways, okay? But then he started speaking about children. He said something like 300,000 children are missing. Who knows what? Dead, sold into sex slavery, sold into slavery, abused, who knows what? Most likely dead. 300,000 children. Now I'm going to go double check that number after I record this, but I'm pretty sure he said something like, actually I think the number was 325,000, but it was something like that. 325, 300,000. 300,000 missing children have come across the border from like Mexico, Congo, Venezuela, wherever, right? 300,000 missing children. And those children are, I guess they're considered, it can't be a nice end for some poor child. We're talking about a child, like anywhere from infant to, I guess, like 19. Anywhere in that area, a child. They're most likely dead, or it blows your mind to even try to fathom. And if that sounds hyperbolic, consider this. I live in Toronto, Canada. One thing that's in the news right now here in Toronto, Canada, one thing that's in the news right now in Canada, Toronto, donation bin scandal. There's a donation bin scandal going on in Toronto right now where you'll see them all throughout communities, these donation bins where they encourage you to donate your gently used clothing, household appliances, electronics, things like that. These donation bins. So there's a scandal going on right now. Apparently some kind of criminal element has been intercepting these donation bins, and the donations aren't making their way to their intended destination. These donation bins are intended for developing nations, charity organizations with troubled people, troubled youth, impoverished families. There's all sorts of destinations that these donations are intended for. But apparently, some criminal element has concocted a scam and is intercepting these donation bins. I don't know the validity. It's in the news. There's a five-part documentary series by W5, a Canadian investigation program. W5, they did a 5-part series. I've yet to watch it. I'm geared up to watch it. But apparently it's an issue. Donation bins. People are stealing secondhand clothing and pots and pans and, 6-year-old iPad tablets that were donated in a donation bin. People are stealing them. So if that's the level of evil and malice and just ingenuity that these criminals are concocting, you don't think that there's a market for children? You don't think that some dirtbags like, hey, we could kidnap these children from these poor countries and go sell them in America, across the border? To what level? I really don't know, but it's definitely happening. If people are willing to steal donated clothing, and I mean, how much money can donated clothing fetch? How much money are you fetching from donated clothing? Donated pots and pans. How much money does that fetch? Well, how about a young child? There's plenty of weirdos out there. Plenty deplorable, evil, nasty people that would buy a child for whatever reason. Sex slave, general labor slave, some weirdo person who can't have children of their own might, for some weirdo reason, kind of like the Lindbergh baby, if you recall that from the 1920s, like people stealing a child because they want a child of their own. I want a baby. I want a baby. Ah. Some mental patient out there with money. So whatever nefarious reasons, man, and that's a major number Trump put up. 300,000 missing children have come across our border, presumed dead, presumed sex trafficked. So that's Trump's going to work on that. Trump is going to get to the bottom of that, and that's an issue that's near and dear to him. That's why he spoke about it. He's been speaking about it. So it's truly hard to fathom. It truly turns your stomach. It gives you a gasping feeling in the chest to even think about these poor children stolen from their families, sold for whatever God knows reason. So that's one more reason to vote for Trump. One more. On top of like the horrible economy of the America, potential war throughout the world, Iran, Israel, Gaza Strip, Palestine, all that crap going on, Ukraine, Russia, inflation that affects the world. Here in Canada, we look to Trump, we look to America. Our economy is very much tied in with the American economy. We follow the lead socially, financially, politically, entertainment, media. We follow the lead of America to a great extent. There's a lot tied up in this Trump presidential race. And that's just one more reason to vote for Trump. These missing children. That's an issue that's near and dear to him, and he's going to look into it. He's going to do his best. And if you've watched the way he's handled his entire campaign, he was in court all summer, impeachments, fucking property hoaxes, trying to take away the whole Mar-a-Lago trial, all these phony cases in court all the time, assassination attempts, but yet he's still strong, campaigning. Didn't even miss a beat. Assassination attempt, he was on stage the next night campaigning. So, this is a strong man, Donald Trump. And, I just spoke about that, the dangers of being president. He spoke about it at the Madison Square Garden rally. And all that I said there with the assassination attempts and all the wars, potential World War III, the ongoing war, Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Palestine, Gaza Strip, Iran, trying to gear up as a nuclear power, and has got all this hate for Trump. It's a dangerous time. But this is a man who's willing to stand in that line of fire and do what's best for the traditional ways in which we've always known here in the West. God, family, country. You know? Believe what you want to believe. Be a person in your community with your family and friends. And live in a safe country with opportunity. That's what Trump is about. That's the common sense leadership. And with that common sense leadership, that could change the entire world. And of course, we love everyone. You know? It's only common sense and it's only right to do. We love humanity. But we have to discern right from wrong. It's as simple as that. And we have to lead with common sense. And you know, everyone's free to live their lifestyle. Not at the expense of common sense and decency, though. Live your lifestyle. Have your beliefs. But generally speaking, humanity, we're about common sense. Your morality, your gods, your God, family, country. And take your alternative lifestyles and do what you please with them, whatever. Do you, boo, just over there. Away from common sense and decency. So yeah, Trump 2024, Joe Rogan Experience, and Madison Square Garden. Very interesting appearances on the campaign trail. Much to come. Hallelujah. Till next time, folks. Hallelujah. It's your old Chuckle Buddy. Guess who? Johnathan James Ramcharan. Signing off from duty on this magnificent October 29th in the year of our Lord, 2024. Donald Trump, Joe Rogan Experience, Madison Square Garden, MSG. Big things on the campaign trail. God bless Trump. Yeah, the show is available on Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, and definitely check us out. You know, I'm gearing up to, you know, expand my content and keep it funky for you. You know, just keep doing it, keep trudging on. Yeah, till next time, folks. You live it, you love it, you realize it. Alright? Peace.